I guess you're asking yourselves why I came down those stairs. Walked across these boards, ambled past these props, these theater trunks cluttered with memories of 1,000 opening nights. I guess you're asking yourself, what does that have to do with tonight's show? Well, I'll tell you. Nothing.
My face you will not recognize, but I bet you've seen a lot of my work. For 20 years, I've been a Hollywood stuntman. Not too bad, huh? When a stuntman does that kind of driving, he better have his act together, because there's no room for error. I graduated. I directed a movie. And that movie starred a dear friend of mine, my old roommate, a good old boy that probably you people are going to recognize like that.
Ladies and gentlemen, Burt Reynolds.
Burt Reynolds, the most exciting star on the screen today. Burt Reynolds is Gator McCluskey, whether he's racing the law or chasing the ladies. Burt Reynolds, the quarterback who will tackle anything.
Now, you're Burt Reynolds' stuntman. Where does Burt like to draw the line as far as doing his own stunts are concerned?
Well, actually, I've never seen Burt draw the line. He'll do just damn near anything you want done. The insurance companies draw the line sometime, but really and truly, he doesn't draw the line. I've seen him do some things that were just flat scary. I mean, there's no other way to put it.
What is the job of a stuntman?
The object of the stunt guy is to come in and look as much as you can like the actor, to dress you like him and fix your hair, whatever, and whatever they want to do, whether it be a horse fall, a high fall, or who knows, a fight, be able to do it as many times as you can do it without getting hurt.
In the old days, they would go out and they would shoot 4 or 5 days with all stuntmen, no actors. The wide shots were for stunt people. And then they bring the actors out and they do the tight shots and the medium shots.
If you're the biggest actor in the world, you want to have the best stuntman in the world next to you. Why not?
Goddamn fat bastard, tell me they're gonna shoot back!
Burt trusted Hal and knew that Hal was going to do the stunts that would really make him look good.
Hal and Burt were guys who appeared at a time in the 70s when anything could happen. Burt was an actor with all the accoutrements that an actor has, and Hal Needham was a man of action.
Ready.
I've seen a lot of actors have good relationships with stuntmen, but never like Hal and Burt did.
That was the closest relationship I ever saw in the picture business.
But you don't want to get too close to an actor, I don't believe. Because it's not going to work out very good.
Okay, Hal. How'd you meet Bert? Well, like on Smokey and the Bear?
Smokey and the Bandit.
And the Bandit. Was that something that he found as a property and then looked for you to complete the movie, or did you come first?
No, I wrote Smokey and the Bandit.
Oh, I understand you directed this movie?
Yeah.
This is kind of an unusual case, isn't it, Hal? I mean, I've heard of actors turning director, I've heard of writers turning director, but never a stuntman.
I was doing a film with Burt down in Georgia called Gator. That's the thread that put Smokey together.
We spent a lot of time in the swamp, you know, and I remember everyone said, once you're scared in the swamp, only, you know, Needham was from down there. The rest of us were from other places. He was like at home. We had a lot of Coors beer we brought down from Los Angeles because in those days, at the end of the workday, everyone got a beer. Needham and I were talking about how the Coors kept disappearing from our mini bars. So we finally realized that our housekeepers were helping themselves to our beer. So we asked them, I said, well, it's Coors beer, man. You know, what are you doing? She said, well, I get like $20 a six-pack for this beer down here because you can't get it. Hal and I looked at each other and we said, well, maybe we should make a movie about getting Coors beer, you know, to the East Coast.
At the time, I really had some doubts whether this was even true or not. In other words, I don't know how you prohibit a beer company from shipping beer from one geographical location to the other.
So let's just do a trucking movie with Coors and fast cars, and let's see what we can come up with. And at that time, trucking industry was very romantic. Modern truckers and last American cowboys.
He told me he was writing a screenplay. Everybody said, nice pipe dream, Hal.
In between shots, he'd be over in his room and he's scribbling down. And I said, what are you doing? He said, I'm writing a story, you know. And he told me a little about it, and I thought, okay, whatever, you know.
They handed me this mash of, you know, legal pad notes and scenes and character, all this stuff.
In fact, I think my mother typed up the script for Smokey and the Bandit.
We played with different names for the movie. Probably called The Bandit at one point, or Bandit.
I want to do, hopefully, action comedy. I just want to throw something on the screen that people can be entertained with. And I think laughter is contagious, and I think people enjoy action, not violence, action.
We were going to sell it to a company called AIP, which made small, exploitive genre movies. That was its first incarnation. We wanted to do something on our own.
Hal Needham had made a living, you know, sort of falling on his head for 20 or 30 years. And, you know, he's a nice guy, not a Rhodes Scholar.
Hal said to me, I'm getting too old to bury my head in the dirt anymore. In the back of his mind, he always wanted to be either a star or a director.
Every stuntman, every second unit guy, every cameraman, everybody, you know the old joke, everyone wants to be a director.
He had the script that he had written, and he took it to Universal Studios and said, I want to direct this movie.
People that ran the studios, he's a stuntman. He can't direct a movie. What are they talking about, you know? Unless you have that movie star, that bankable movie star that says, I want to be the Bandit, you're not going to get it made.
And they said, it's a nice script. Do you think you can get your roommate to star in this?
Hiya. How are you? Thanks.
Burt and I were on a show together, and I came in one night and I said, Burt, I said, I got to find me an igloo, a teepee, or something to live in, because I just got thrown out of the house. And he said, hell, come on over, stay at my place for a couple of days. I don't care.
My father moved in at Burt Reynolds' house. I was going to stay there for a week or two, and I think he was there for like 11 years. I mean, if you can imagine putting together a bachelor pad back then, it was. I think of all the homes that Burt has had, I think I like that one the best.
The first thing I think that people would see when they go in the bedroom is the mirrors on the ceiling.
They were both single and had a lot of girlfriends and a lot of fun.
Bathroom is big, and it too has mirrors and tile. And tile is my second favorite thing in life. It just gives me joy, tile. If I could spend the rest of my life in a room, it would be tiled and mirrored. The dining room is early Indian. I mean, Indian kind of design. I think it's kind of classy. Third favorite thing in my life is Indians. If I could find an Indian with a mirror who did tile work, I would probably be happy for the rest of my life.
I took the script home and gave it to Bert. Bert looked at it and he said, Hal, he said, that's the worst dialogue I've ever read in my life. But he said the overall concept is pretty good. He said, if you can take my name power and go get the money, and if somebody is fool enough to let you direct it, says you can direct it.
And Bert said, there's only one man in America who can direct this movie. That's Hal Needham. Had Bert said, Adolf Hitler, I would have agreed. Bert was a big movie star.
Are you here to see Bert?
Who else? Who else?
What happened was there was so much goodness in Burt Reynolds that he made people happy. And that's a natural gift that he had.
Burt Reynolds, tough, sexy, superstar.
Is that a lot of pressure, Bert, being this kind of a sex symbol?
He struck such a chord with the American public.
We're so glad I work alone.
The humor and the joy and the honesty, it was real. So he became the #1 star in the world.
I just think I'm the best Burt Reynolds there is.
We had 30 days to make a great movie.
The Film Commission has been very aggressive in terms of luring not only us, but a lot of film companies here. It's very helpful. They've closed highways for us. They've tearing out part of an old bridge for us that we're going to throw a car across. It's just terrific.
Hold all the noise, all the talk, everything quiet.
The entire picture was shot 16, 17 miles away from the center of downtown Atlanta. In the motion picture business, you put up a sign that says entering Mississippi, and you're entering Mississippi. But with respect and affection for Hal, this was as new to him really as it was to me. When we went to work the first morning, I got up, sort of stood around waiting for things to happen. The production manager asked me what we should do, and I didn't have a clue.
And I remember the first day, Hal and I pull up to the location, sitting under a tree in a director's chair with his Fleetwood stretched gold limo next to him. It was Jackie Gleason. And Jackie was sitting in this director's chair wearing a black Gucci leisure suit with a red carnation. And no one was there. He was the first person on the set. Nobody.
Was directing anything at all like you thought it was going to be?
Well, I have no fear going in. I mean, we're not doing Gone with the Wind or Fiddler on the Roof. It's action comedy. Just light it for the color and let's shoot it. Speed, speed, speed.
In a big movie, you may do 3 pages a day. Hal would shoot 16 pages a day. We did things that were insane, right on the edge of insanity.
Hal Needham directing Burt, this was a brand new process, for them.
I think he just wanted Burt to be Burt.
I had no qualms about going in there and saying action. Universal, they figured that what the hell was $4.3 million.
4.3 was your budget?
Yeah.
That was pretty low.
Well, it was 5.3 until 2 days before I started shooting. They sent a hatchet man down and took $1 million away from me.
Oh my God.
And Burt got $1 million. So I didn't have a lot of wiggle room.
You walk on a set, and there's the Panavision camera and all the lights, and there's Burt Reynolds.
Old legends never die. They just lose weight.
Like a legend and an out-of-work bum look a lot alike, Daddy.
And you go, oh my God, how did I wind up here?
Now get to Texarkana and back in 28 hours. That's no problem.
It ain't never been done before, honey.
Watch your language, little lady. The problem is that Coors beer, you take that east of Texas, and that's bootlegging.
There was a lot of things about the South that I was embarrassed about. But there were also things about the South that were wonderful. I had hoped to make something out of that in a way that nobody'd seen.
Nobody thinks of Florida as being South, but if we had enough time on this show, I could take you places where you'd realize that this is the South. I wanted to make it so bad when I was going up here. I mean, I really wanted to make it bad. But great memories. Really great memories. My dad is a cowboy. He's tough and leathery and the most honest man I've ever known in my life.
We had our little offs and ons, but he was a normal kid. He got in just as much trouble as anyone else.
He put me in jail one night for getting in a fight. I remember he came in and he says, you kids, your father's here. You can go home now. Your father's here, you can go home now. And he looked at me and says, your father ain't here. So I stayed there all night. There's a saying in the South that no man is a man until his father tells him he is.
I think his dad expected a lot out of him. He was kind of the golden boy in football and looked like he was going to have a great pro career and college career.
He got tore up in his senior year in high school. Tore the cartilage out of both sides of both knees.
Well, he was sort of lost. All he'd ever done to play football. I was getting ready to cast and direct the play Outward Bound. And Burt sat in the front row in my English literature class. And he looked like the guy that I wanted for the role of the alcoholic.
And I said, you're out of your bird, you know. And I said, I've never been in a play in my life. I somehow went to that room and walked in there, and he looked at me and he said, read. And I opened the book and went, and he said, that's it, you got the part.
I saw something in Burt. I saw the spark.
I hated Riverboat. I hated doing it. I had this character I called Dum Dum, the whistleblower, you know.
Connie, cut it to half speed.
I turn half speed.
They would bring in the stuntmen. They were the men. We were the boys.
The stars always migrated to the stunt guys. They saw some realness. There was no acting.
They were the jocks. And that's what I'd been.
Burt was very capable. He could do it all, but you can't do it all. You need a double.
Over at Universal, they just hired me to come in and double somebody. They said, yeah, here's your outfit. I said, who am I doubling? They said, go down to the set and find somebody dressed like you, and that's who you're doubling. And I got down there, and it was Burt.
Hal came in to do a stunt, and he was going to be doubling me, and I thought, hell, I can do that. He said, you could be really handy. Handy is a super compliment for a stuntman. He always said actors are candy asses. I don't want to be an actor.
I always felt that Burt kind of wanted to be doing what Hal was doing.
You come out to my place on Saturday and Sunday, and there'd be 18, 20 stuntmen out there practicing.
Most people are in less than top physical condition. First and foremost for every stuntman is a good warm-up, as it should be for you.
Yeah, they were the pirates running around having a good time. When I first saw that group, reminded me of Butch Cassidy and the Hole in the Wall gang, and we were kind of all the Hole in the Wall gang. Movie which says, listen, I got vision, everyone else is wearing bifocals. Hal Needham was the Butch Cassidy character.
Hal was an innovator, I never seen him back off from nothing.
They say, we want you to get in this car, go down there, turn it over at 90 miles an hour, blow it up, come out on fire, run across the street and die. I say, okay.
He more or less got a group of guys together that could do anything.
We just started our own organization called Stunts Unlimited.
Right when we started Stunts Unlimited, we had an office on the lot at Paramount. Paramount didn't even know we had an office there.
3 or 4 years, we were the biggest, best-known organization in the world.
Got up early in the morning, went to the set, went through wardrobe, makeup, hair, got a burrito, jumped on your horse, went to work. It was just the best. And then at night, you get back to the hotel, you stop in the bar, you have a couple of belts, have a couple more and say, let's go, man. Off to the 17 bar and grill. Close it down. We would come in, the Wranglers would be going to work to get the horses ready for us. We'd grab a shower and go to work. It was mad. And Hal really had a rule that you didn't bring your wives on location because of that. It was cause problems, Well, we went through a lot of wives.
What do you two do in the movie? Well, we drink a lot of champagne in the movie. We're sitting at a table and just more or less talking with Pat McCormick and Paul Williams. And then Burt Reynolds walks up to the scene.
Does Burt try to put the make on you?
No, we wish, but no, we're more or less hoping that he'll let us put the make on him.
What's up, everybody?
What you just saw was a scene from the new Burt Reynolds movie, Smokey and the Bandits, being filmed here at Lakewood Fairgrounds, Atlanta.
Pontiac Division General Motors gave us 4 sedans that we used as police cars, and they gave us 2 Trans Ams, and that was it. By the second week in the picture, both the Trans Ams had been destroyed, and we had to go back and beg to get a couple more.
Beautiful, huh? Honey, hush. Jerry Reed went, honey, hush. The way he said it, it was the greatest looking gal you'd ever seen.
I love it. I mean, I really get a kick out of driving a Firebird.
There seems to be a thing about that bloody Trans Am as a symbol of your getaway steed. The male animal. It is the wannabe warrior who is now working at a factory somewhere, connected with that character, that car. Maybe it's the element of escape. I mean, it's an escapist movie, but it's a movie about escape. That was a great answer.
What about all the nutty stunts in cars? You ever had a really far-out car run?
Oh, yeah. I mean, first of all, see, I love cars. I mean, I can make a car talk. Slide it sideways, spin it completely around 360 degrees, do all those things with it, and know exactly where that car is at.
Why do you drive like that, Hal?
Why do I drive like that? Well, there's a couple reasons. Number one's money, and the second one is we're making a movie.
Fast cars, that was dangerous stuff. Whether we were jumping a boat, or jumping a car, or jumping a horse, it all stemmed from the basics of stunt work. Was all started with the horse and the fight.
I believe personally that when you work with animals, you stand a better chance of getting somebody hurt than you do with automobiles, because the automobile doesn't care about the explosions or the bullet hits or the whatever it is. It'll go wherever you steer it, and it'll only go as fast as you mash the accelerator.
It's like the Westerns just slowly faded out, and here come all the car pictures.
Okay, Fearless, let me ask you this. Has there ever been a stunt that somebody wanted to do in a movie that you said flat out no?
I've never turned down a stunt. I said if you can put a man on the moon, you can damn sure figure out a way to do a stunt.
A couple of times, Hal did get in over his head. There was a stunt where I should have said something, but I thought, well, wait a minute. He's Hal Needham. Keep your mouth shut.
When you're doubling a leading man, you want to make him look like a hero.
White Lightning, there's a scene where Burt Reynolds' character being doubled by Hal Needham is trying to escape police officers, and he sees a big old sand barge pulling out into the middle of the river. And so he turns the car sideways and then goes down on the dock and jumps the car. I think it was probably 70, 80 feet across to the barge. Even though he was banged up pretty good, he got out of the car and continued to play the part. And after we cut, and he fell down. But he always finished the shot.
Well, I'll be damned. Busted his spleen. Damn near died.
Stuntman, you can get hurt right there, and they just haul you off and keep shooting. But the actor goes down, you're done.
We were shooting The Man Who Loved Cat Dancing. He had a hernia down in the bottom of this canyon. It was 200 feet up. I couldn't even get a chopper in there. So I turned to Burt and I said, tell you what, son, I said, if you can hold on to my back, they throw that rope down here, I can carry you out of here. So I carried him up the hillside on my back. We got to the top. They had a chopper, which they threw him, and they forgot to get me. I let it over the ground, all out of breath. That's just a shot of Burt and I down at his ranch in Florida. It says, to the best roomie a guy could ask for, and a hell of a man. Love, Burt.
We had this kind of crazy schedule that I used to wake up in the morning and be stumbling down the hall, and there'd be a note on the bathroom door that said, the place is yours, but I need it for the next 3 days. Hope you don't mind. Love, Roomie. And that meant I got out, and I did.
I don't know that I fell in love instantly, but I sure did like the guy. My first date with Hal was at his house with Burt and Dinah Shore. It was an interesting time.
Burt and Dinah were lovers. She was a cougar at the time, I guess.
I'd like to make it eminently clear that there are many areas in which Hal does not double script. Okay?
I want to know something. He and I started almost simultaneous. What happened? I mean, I'm better looking he is.
I'll explain it to you.
Okay, I wish somebody would.
Yeah, it's very simple. You don't have any problems.
Okay.
Because you're a real choreographer. I mean, those fights are staged like...
I tell you what, I don't care who it is. I always say the biggest thing about a man is his ego. And I'm no different than anybody else. All right, ready?
Hal wanted to be a star, but I think secretly he would have liked to be Burt Reynolds. On the other hand, I think Burt wanted to be Hal Needham, but knew that his bread was going to be buttered on the movie star side.
For a little PR, we put an ad in the paper that Burt Reynolds is going to be the judge of a dog show to pick a dog to be in the movie and everything. The next day, there was not a dog in the dog pound. We was in a park, and it was just a sea of dogs out there. Burt said, "That's your dog," and that's how he got in the movie.
Now, Bo, I'm telling you, Fred ain't gonna be no problem.
I can see he's going to be a major asset.
Jerry Reed hit it off with everybody. And on the set, he had his band there. Hal and I were invited up to his suite, and they played this little song called Eastbound and Down, and asking Hal, "Do you like it? What do you think of it?" It was fabulous. And it's the song of the movie.
1, 2, 3, go. Break a 1-9. How about that bandit? You got them ears on, son. Eastbound and down, load it up and something.
Break for that bandit one. Break for that bandit one.
Yes, Snowman, come on back.
And he's short time to get there.
The Sheriff Gilbert T. Justice again. I lost that Trans Am. Set up a roadblock. Good idea.
Bandit, this here is the grave robber. Put the pedal to the metal, good buddy, and we'll hold this county mountie as long as we can. Come on.
Bandit, honey, this is the good witch of the north speaking. You'd better not come this way.
This is a bandit, darling.
And how can I help? Bring it back.
I knew the music before I knew the man, and the music got to me.
I got that all worked out, son.
This bandit character loved Jerry Reed. We have a relationship that's very similar in some ways to me and Hal. He's crazy, but crazy good.
What is a good old boy? Someone that you really like hanging out with and you can trust. Doesn't take life too seriously, but always gets the job done. Not a lot of angst in the good old boy, put it that way.
I suppose a lot of people become actors because they're unhappy with themselves and they get to hide in somebody else's skin. But that's not true. People become actors, I think, because we're people pleasers. And the only thrill for us, really, is you're getting some enjoyment from what we do. Oh, my God.
I'd like to be considered somebody who paid their dues and is a good actor. I think that there's a school of acting, which I'm a great believer in this particular school of acting, which is called effortless. And I worked 20 years to learn how to make it look easy. Quite honestly, it's very easy to do what I call the constipated school of acting, which is where you let every vein show in the neck and you just, go for it with every take. And everybody says, what a brilliant actor he is. Well, he gets an Oscar in Preparation H and I get a smile.
That's an actor? Well, he was brilliant in Streetcar Named Desire. Streetcar Named Desire. What was he, a conductor?
That was the time when everybody wanted to be Marlon Brando.
And who were you?
I didn't know who the hell I was.
Question, Rocky?
Yeah, I mean, what is my tertiary motivation here? I mean, like, I walk through the door and I see her. Why?
Why what, Rocky? What's the question? Exactly. What is the question?
I wanted to play the rebel, the kind of label they'd given me at the studio.
So, Jesus Christ, it looks like Brando.
When I first went to Hollywood, everybody wanted me to meet Marlon, and I'd heard so many Marlon Brando stories. There's a coffee house on the Strip called Cyrano's, and at the time, it was the in place where everybody went to see or be seen. We walked in. Immediately, there was a director named Hubert Cornfield who ran over to me and grabbed me and said, "He's here." And I said, he is? And he said, "Come on." And he was pulling me by the shirt. And we came around and we stopped in front of the table. And I suddenly realized it was Marlon. And Marlon, everybody was looking at me except Marlon. Marlon was looking right about there. And Hubert Cornfield said, "Marlon, isn't this fantastic?" And like a dummy, I was going like this, because I thought, I've been brought over to be introduced. But he never looked up. He just went, And I still had my hand out. And there was deathly silence in the place. And I had the urge to kill. To reach across and kill. And I want to be me. Who the hell do you think he is?
Bert got that thing that you have to become a leading man. He could go after you. If he lost it, I've seen him lose it with some people. So, you couldn't go around with Bert too much.
I want to go on killing white men.
He is so met wine.
He says you will have to prove yourself.
I'll prove myself. Just give me a chance.
Bert wanted to be a star, and I think he'd have done most anything.
Ugnahi.
Behios. Sometimes you learn more from a bad film than you do from a good film. In that case, I should be a very good actor.
I got a lot of parts because they didn't have to hire a stuntman, They'd say, "Get that guy, he falls down the stairs and he talks okay, So I fell down the stairs and talked. As the years went by, I fell less and talked more.
Thought you were authority on architecture. I didn't know your hobby was
Boating!
I think I've probably chosen worse than any actor in the history of films. Some films I said, "What's the location?" And they said, "Tahiti." And I said, "I'll take that picture."
I did Deliverance, which was my deliverance out of bad films, I thought.
Sometimes you have to lose yourself before you can find anything.
Any snakes around here?
I think Georgia is kind of a good luck charm for you. Do you look on it as a real good place to make films?
I'd like to shoot 4 out of 5 pictures here, which really wouldn't set too well with a lot of people who want to do desert movies. Deliverance was kind of like coming home, Changed everything for me.
I had never done a part that good, because I understand this guy. And I could play him.
We got to get rid of that guy. Just how are you going to do that, Lewis? Where? Anywhere. Everywhere.
I asked the director, John Borman, what parts he'd seen me play that would make me right for this picture. And he said, "I didn't see you in a part, but I saw you on The Tonight Show."
Hello.
So,
nice. You look so sharp again tonight. You're dressing.
I was just
so
pressed.
well.
They just pressed me.
The whole thing? Did you get into your clothes?
Pressed my entire body.
Burt Reynolds was the catch on a talk show. Everybody liked to be around Burt.
It's nice to see you. You haven't changed a bit. Listen, Deliverance is it's from a novel. It's quite serious. It's all got rape and murder in it and all those things. And, you know, and here you are cavorting like a jackass. Not being a jackass, just cavorting like one.
I gambled. I really gambled. I mean, Deliverance was BC, before Cosmo. The gamble was, would I ever be considered a serious actor after that? When I died on my tombstone, would they say his contribution to the world was he was the first male new centerfold?
Get it from the front now. Get it from the back now. Get it from the side. Get it all around.
What's it like to be pastor of a man who posed nude in Cosmopolitan? This is what we Baptists call a problem. I don't know. I didn't tell him to take his clothes off, and I wish he hadn't done it. But at the same time, he did it. He's free, and I'm free. I feel free to wear my clothes, and he feels free to take his off.
Posing catapulted Burt Reynolds to household name. He became then the guy.
That's literally true.
How many people like him with the mustache? And then without the mustache. This is a hell of a time to tell me. Yeah, I think you should stick with the mustache, Burt. Definitely stick with it.
The Cosmopolitan came out 30 days before Deliverance. It was very difficult for 98% of the film critics to disassociate this character who, you know, laid down on a bare rug like an idiot, you know, and did this strange thing with an actor who took his craft seriously and took the film business seriously. And a lot of people who I trust their instincts felt that it might have cost me a nomination that year.
It was a bad choice because it trivialized him. And I know he was sorry, but I was unhappy to see it myself. He didn't need it. Most serious actors don't do that. A clown would do it.
In fact, a lot of people never forgave me for that. I'm one of them, actually.
What now do you look for? What does a role have to have for you to really consider it?
Well, I'm looking now for humor because I happen to think that of my contemporaries, I have to look around and say, what's the competition? I can't stand in the doorway better than Paul Newman, and I can't have blonder hair than Robert Redford. But I can do comedy better than either one of them. I can eat them up.
You all right? Very funny, very funny. I thought it was funny.
To move people to laugh is extremely difficult, crossing a lot of different cultures. And there's no question. You ask anyone who's in the creative end of this business, and they will always tell you, you take a guy like Jackie Gleason.
There wasn't any script. For me, believe me. I never had a line of dialogue written. The director would stick his head in the window of the car and say, now we have to go up to the thing and you'll see him there. What do you want to say? And I'd think for a second. I said, how about something? He says, great. Okay, let's go.
I got Get the evidence. Put the evidence in the car.
But Daddy,
Put the evidence in the car. I gotta barbecue your ass in molasses.
I am not going to attempt to give any messages to the people out there. I can do two things, and I think I do them extremely well. Action, I know I do well, and my comedy isn't too bad, all right?
No, you do three things.
What's that?
You just sit there and look good. That's a third.
You sweet thing. From now, you can say anything you want to.
Let's play tag. Tag, you're it.
I was 11 years old when I saw my first movie.
What was it?
It was called Pop Goes the Weasel. I mean, this is way back, okay? To me, I was amazed. Now, I relate today to what I thought then, all right? And I said, hell, that's what I wanted to see, and I believe that's what people want to see today. I will never win an Academy Award, but I'm going to be very rich. So, and I think I put out entertaining films, and I think that's what it's all about.
What happened, Daddy?
Both Hal and I realized that this was gold, and neither of us wanted to touch it.
I had never had a scene with Burt Reynolds. I had to sit down and write one. That was the scene in the lunchroom.
Just keep your eye out for that Mr. Vanderbilt. Let me have a Diablo sandwich, a Dr. Pepper. Make it fast. I'm in a goddamn hurry.
In the original screenplay, there were maybe 6 or 7 scenes where the two of them were together. We shot that scene in the restaurant where Burt knows who Jackie is, Jackie doesn't know who Burt is.
You must be in a hell of a hurry, huh, Sheriff? Bet your ass on that boy.
Oh, you got a little mess there. Let me help you out here. Get that off of there. That's away from an officer.
Right.
When we finished that scene, Burt came to Hal and me, said, I'm not going to work with Jackie anymore.
Somebody chasing you?
Nobody's chasing me, boy. I would chase my damn mania.
And, of course, I had no idea what this was about, but we started rewriting. Did Burt feel that Jackie was upstaging him, stealing from him? I really don't know.
Do you feel that you're in competition to Burt Reynolds?
Oh, no. He plays comedy. I'm in the lead in this.
Oh, let me pay for it. Let me pay for it. No. You're an officer of the law. I'd be honored.
Much obliged. Where's the can? I gotta take a squirt.
Right back there. Just one.
I think that Burt could be a very great comedian. He can look at you and say something, and then he gives you the attitude that he's saying, who, me? And that's a great quality for someone who wants to do comedy. I believe he could be a great comedian.
Every time you make a film, it's a battle. Hal, he always had a plan. He was always willing to take that chance to do something special and different.
The second unit director was Alan Gibbs. What sequence did he do?
Nothing.
Oh.
Me have a second unit?
Well, okay.
The best second unit director in the world, and I have a second unit? He double Burt and coordinated all the stunt guys, told him what I wanted, things like that.
Alan was doubling Burt. Looks like Burt when he's riding in the car. And Janet Brady looked exactly like Sally and has continued to double her. She could do the fights, she could do the falls, but her specialty was cars. No question about it. She and Alan Gibbs met. They decide to get married. And they get married during the filming of Smokey and the Bandit, and Hal gives Janet away as the father of the bride.
Is it true that there was nearly an accident shooting the scene where the car crashes onto the football field?
Oh, boy. It sure was. We got shots that didn't go in the film because they were so scary.
the car jumped, and I saw everybody start running out of the dugout. I saw one guy just stand straight up, and the car just hit the dugout.
A couple of the kids got hit. Fortunately, no one got hurt badly, but, you know, there were 1 or 2 kids in the hospital.
When the car hit, 2 things happened. Number 1 was I was not aware that we had watered this last night or that they had watered it. And even though we put on Pirelli tires to try to compensate for it, we just couldn't get stopped. That's all there is to it. And I just thank God that one of my stuntmen had enough sense in there to, and the stunt girl both, to turn that car and get it outside of these people.
I said, we're going to hurt somebody bad. I want to stop now. You know, you can do anything in the world on a movie, but you can't stop.
The absolute decision is mine because, I mean, I am the boss in that case because it's my Tocus that's on the line, and nobody can tell me how I want to risk it.
Did you do the actual driving in Smokey and the Bandit?
I did all the driving except the jump over the bridge. I was under a tree then, hiding my face.
When people go to a movie, they get engrossed with the character, the lead character and everything. They don't think about a stuntman, and I don't think they should. But when an actor is confronted on national television or something, seems to me like he should have enough huevos to say, no, I didn't do that.
Most actors can't do their own stuff. Actor went on Johnny Carson, oh yeah, I did all my own stunts, and we didn't care. We didn't want any recognition. It was all about working and making money and going to the next show and the next deal.
The stunt community was kind of a cloak and dagger thing. I mean, there was no publicity. There was nothing. The public, they didn't know what a stunt guy was.
Ironically, it was Hal that let the cat out of the bag.
Hi there, David. How are you?
Nice of you to drop in.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Okay?
Oh, I'm fine.
Nobody had a bigger shadow than Burt Reynolds. And my father was really more than ready to step out from behind it.
When Hal first met me, he said, this is the guy that's going to make me a star. Let's get this thing rolling. My assignment was to make Hal a household name. And wow, how do you do that?
Next, you'll see Hal Needham. Hal is wearing an awning-striped caftan. I'm not crazy about that. Oh, I think it looks great on him, though. It's got a hood, so you can cover all up in it.
I think he realized that acting wasn't his forte, but certainly stunts were.
It's good weather for flying, but Hal Needham doesn't have a plane. What he does have is a truck. The distance between the ramps, comparable to a 12-story building laid on its side. How are you going to do that, Hal?
Well, I'm going to stick a rocket in the back end and jump the river.
I spent all day, every day, looking for ways to get Hal in front of anybody you could, anytime.
To me, I remember it because I broke my back for the second time.
I can remember him breaking his back and ribs and getting out of the hospital and getting on an airplane and going down to do another movie.
He was the first human to test the airbag. You know, when nobody knew anything about the airbag, there's Hal.
When I first started to go out to pitch Hal, it was not an easy task. I realized where I had to go was tell people, well, Hal Needham is Burt Reynolds' stuntman. Now we have their attention.
He used to like to do his own stunts anyway.
Well, he started as a stuntman. You know, originally he was a stuntman.
Unfortunately, when we started some of the interviews, they all still went back to Burt.
There's a lot of little things that he took, you know, I know he took from me. And for instance, he took my wardrobe, okay? He had him copy my wardrobe that I wear normally all the time. And that's what he wore in the movie. One day he came out and he and I was dressed exactly alike.
We worked a lot on that because we knew that was coming every time. And then he was off talking about stunts.
Presenting the stuntman.
And he's not just your basic everyday stuntman either. He was modeled after Hal Needham, the guy that I consider to be the best stuntman in the business.
Well, he had met the guy that owned the toy company. They said, you know, Evel Knievel's doll made a ton of money.
It was sitting on his desk one day when I went in. I said, oh my God, Hal, you've got a doll, a little stunt doll. Give me a break. There's a little ram, and you could fly the doll and it'll turn. You could make the hat fly off with a string.
They had designed the prototype, but they didn't have the market for it yet. We recognized that we were going to need a big event. Hal and Bill Fredericks came up with the idea of the rocket car.
Wow, looks like he's off in a good one this time, kid.
Thunderous send-off to Hal Needham. Climbing to 4 to 500, almost 550 miles per hour and still climbing.
It's faster than programmed, Ken.
His chute just came out. His chute deployed, but it has not opened.
Ken, it has not opened. He might be in very serious trouble down there.
He's missed the red flags, and he has crashed at the end of the course.
I want to tell you something. The last couple of 100 yards is a summer gun.
Hal said, I'm not going to put my life behind a 700-mile-an-hour car any longer. It was sometime after the rocket car event that the toy finally emerged. It never really made a place in the market. He knew he never was going to be a movie star. So Hal was under tremendous pressure to make Smokey and the Bandit a success.
There's a scene in the picture where it's a small dirt road, bridge. The car leaps the bridge, flies through the air, and lands on the other side.
That was really dangerous. There's no, that's a problem. You know, you come up short, you got issues here.
Sorry, I don't want to get married.
Terrific. That makes 2 of us.
Sally and Bert became an item by that day of shooting.
Holy. Oh, wait 1 minute. Here we have.
We watched the dailies, and you could kind of see it. It was there. When 2 people are hitting it off, and you can tell they're liking each other. Sometimes they call action, and there's things that happen first.
Call you the bandit. They call you the bandit.
I think the bandit covers up his vulnerability and his sensitivity with a lot of braggadocio and fancy shirts, because I think basically he's rather shy. He's only good at one thing, and that's showing off, but he's great at that. I don't wear these kind of shirts. I do wear cowboy hats. I think, I'm not real positive about this because there's a big debate going on about this in America. I think I'm a real good actor.
Burt Reynolds has been top box office for 6 years, mostly in redneck tough guy films. Now he wants to try serious drama.
If you wanted to get away from the good old boy image, will the audience let you?
If I'm good. If I'm really good.
And there's no concealing the fact I'm feeling.
I find Burt Reynolds the most puzzling actor. He has the power and physical attributes of the perfect screen tough guy. Yet he insists on playing light comedy as if he saw himself as a kind of Cary Grant with muscles. The point that seems to escape him, however, is that you can't be Cary Grant and have muscles. You've got to settle for one or the other.
He can act, but he doesn't take very good parts. So he doesn't take the parts that would stretch him and test him. He could possibly be as great as Sean Connery if he had more ease about the way he looked. You can always feel that he wants to look good, and this is fatal in a male actor.
Maybe he's getting bad advice, Pauline.
Or maybe there's fear in him.
Bert, when you look in the mirror, what do you see? Who do you see?
You're looking at a very well-paid movie star and a starving actor. actor. To be a personality is painful. To be in the public eye is painful. Because you can never, ever give them enough. They always want a little bit more.
Is it true that you are back together with Dinah Shore?
Do you plan on making any movies on location in Chicago?
Would you like to go for coffee after the show?
Well, you said that your favorite sport was football. Is that what influenced you doing The Longest Yard?
Is it true that you've been trying to adopt a child? And you plan on marrying again?
Bert, do you really enjoy all this?
Bert got sick down there, and he was struggling to come to the set. You're talking about changing schedules. I mean, Sally couldn't work without Bert because I was in the car.
He did disappear for a couple of days, yes. But I don't want to get into the reasonings.
Hal understood Bert was an actor. Being an actor, he was high-strung and neurotic. Now, all actors are crazy, right? I mean, Marlon Brando walked out of acting because he couldn't take it anymore. You must understand, their faces on this 100-foot screen. You know who that is? If they're embarrassed with what they see, they want to kill themselves. So the pressure on an actor, on his ego, is so overwhelming.
We ain't gonna make it, son. We're gonna hang it up. Whoa, negatory, what are you, crazy something? We come this far, ain't we? Look, when we say we're gonna do a job, we do a job.
And Hal came up and said, I give up. Are you doing this?
There's one thing about good old Southern boys, all the way through. They have a sense of loyalty to their friend.
I felt like, if anything, I owed it to Hal. You gotta be dangerous as part of being sexy.
Too late now.
Let's jump this bridge.
Just done the car jump. The director yelled, "That's it. That's a wrap." It's the last end of the movie. Needham, he and I looked over the top of the Trans Am at each other. He just gave me a wry smile and looked at me, and we just nodded at each other, and that was it. It's kind of our moment. You realize that it exists, and it's going to be around a lot longer than you are.
Universal presents Burt Reynolds. This is Smokey and the Bandit.
The general sales manager at Universal, having seen the movie, by the way, I don't think had much faith in the picture. Is that we not sneak preview? I think he actually suspected that he was going to lose bookings because the picture was so bad.
We finished the film, put the music in. Well, hell, all the read in there was 5-string banjos and guitars and fiddles, you know? Because I knew who I made that film for. Universal said, now we made a change it. What'd you change? They said, new music. I go down there, and they put all this brass in there. It sounded like the L.A. Philharmonic. And I said, take it out.
You do a comedy, it doesn't work. Dead. And only a fool does it, thinking it's a sure thing.
I thought it was a very funny movie. And then, we had great expectations to open the movie in the Radio City Music Hall, and then it died.
I said, wait a minute. You're opening it in New York? That's ridiculous.
It was a disastrous screening. I mean, the cards were, this is boring. I've seen this before. I thought, what do I do to get these guys to get it?
And I said, put the damn thing out down the south. That's
suit is made for.
Well, hello there, neighbor. Now, how do you do? There's something I'd like to say to you. You from my homeland, my sunny homeland. Tell me, friend, now could it be?
How many of you have seen Hal's picture, Smokey and the Bandit? I love it, I love it.
I bet I've seen that movie 200 times, and that's probably plus or minus 5.
Yes, if you from Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, West Virginia, Tennessee, or Carolina, just in into the place below that Mason-Dixon line, then you're from Dixie. Hooray, hooray for Dixie, 'cause this old boy, he's from Dixie too. Stand back, son.
That little number is the second highest grossing motion picture in the history of the motion picture business.
I'm glad it was, because it was a picture that wasn't made for the critics, it was made for the people.
How did you like the movie?
Oh, I just loved it.
Oh, it was so exciting. Who was your favorite in the film? Bert. Nick, really. The dog was good, too.
All of us that live in that part of the country go, yep, that's about how it works, or he reminds me of my uncle, or he reminds me of my dad, or he reminds me of my neighbor down the road.
You know, in the South, they think of Smokey and the Bandit as a documentary. It had a cultural impact that I don't think any of us could have imagined. I mean, to this very day, it's a friendlier South than maybe a lot of people had seen before. And maybe in that there's an elegance.
The buzz was huge. I mean, it was huge.
You know, in the days of silent movies, the chase was often a highlight of the story. So Hollywood figured if audiences like a little, they'll love a lot. And pretty soon there's no meal at all, it's all dessert.
It's not a B movie, it's A++. Burt brought us through the disco era. He kept us all alive and gave us a reason to say, hey, we still got a hero out there.
When I say Burt Reynolds right now, black cowboy hat, mustache, is that what you see? That's what I see. I also see him in a Trans Am. If he drove up in a Lexus, it would just destroy me.
The Washington Post critic, in that person's opinion, greatest road movie ever made. I mean, the picture elevated Hal, and Hal was no longer a stuntman.
So my father decided it was time to move out of Burt Reynolds' house. You get married, you settle down, and then you have to move out. You got to get your own place.
I've always wanted to have a theater, all my life, ever since I started to be an actor.
How are you tonight? If you'll follow Bruce, he'll take you to your seats. Good evening. How you all doing?
And I think secretly, most actors, back in the back of their mind, think about going back to their hometown and building a theater. We have an apprentice program, and they're learning that it isn't just stardust and moonbeams. It's a lot of hard work, a lot of pain.
Get out of here. Punctuated.
Burt Reynolds is a hungry man. I think he's hungry to show everybody in the world that he's more than the illusion that he presents.
Do you want to be taken more seriously, or would you go on doing these stunting performances?
Well, I think that probably 20 years from now, these stunting performances, as you call them, will be considered minor works of art. And they'll say, those were damn good films for what they were. They weren't trying to be anything other than what they were. But for what they were terrific.
But you're still shooting for a Casablanca in your career?
Yeah, I'm shooting for a Casablanca. And you know what I'll do when I get my Casablanca? I'll go right back and make a Smokey and the Bandit.
Burt, the co-writer and director of Smokey and the Bandit, your pal, Hal Needham.
Let me say that I'm sure nobody expects me to play guitar or sing, because you all know better than that. I only have one God-given talent, and that was to fall on my head. And I'm thankful for that because it allowed me to meet Burt Reynolds some 20-some-odd years ago. And
I always told him, if he'd have been a woman, we'd have had a great marriage. He was an amazing man. They don't come along like that once in your lifetime.
You're a doll. I love you, and I owe everything to you, Bert. Thank you.
I just want to make a wish.
Certain people show up in your life and the magic happens. And it doesn't always happen. But when the magic happens,
You know something? You're looking at the luckiest man alive.
So we're talking, and I said, how can you believe your success from the sharecropper's kid in Arkansas? You do Smokey and the Bandit? Yeah, he said, it's been a good run, man.
Folks didn't think of too much of me and what I was going to amount to. But for sure, my mom is looking down on tonight with a big smile on her face. I want to thank the entire Hollywood community for allowing me to be part of it. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
When I heard that he'd passed, I thought, what in God's name could kill it? What could kill it?
He's the only guy that I thought might live forever.
He liked speed. He liked to bend the rules a little bit. He liked to live life on his own terms. Hal Needham was and will always be the Bandit.